Just because it's the off season doesn't mean it's time to take time off. Let's talk about recruiting. Let's go. What's going on, Mountaineer Nation? Bradley here as always with Country Roads Webcast, and I'm coming at you with some recruiting news. I noticed that, in our Mountaineer world, we seem to have a lack of up-to-date video progress on our recruiting, and recruiting is important for football, so I wanted to talk about that. So today I wanted to get into talking about some of the 2023 recruits that have WVU and their top schools listed so far on their Twitter. As always, make sure you guys give us a like and subscribe if you like the video, and if you want to see more recruiting content or you got any suggestions on what I should do next, or if there's certain recruits that you want me to focus on, let me know. Give me a shout out there in the comments, and I'll make sure that I can get that to you. This is something I'm going to want to make probably weekly, because we've got recruits coming in on a weekly basis right now, or it might even be twice a month maybe, because sometimes recruiting doesn't change all that much. So let's get into it with some recruits that have West Virginia listed in their top 10, and I'm going to be going in position, and I'm going to kind of talk about the player, their attributes, and kind of how they're going to fit in our system, a little bit about them. So starting off, we've got Edward Combs III. Edward Combs III is a wide receiver. We'll be starting with the wide receivers. Comes out of Satellite Beach School there in Florida, one of the Florida guys that we're targeting, which, as you will see through this list, we are hitting Florida hard, and I'm curious to see how that gets affected with the loss of Travis Trickett, considering he was one of our biggest Florida recruiters down there. So we might have to try to make sure that we sound up some of these guys as we go forward. Again, Edward Combs III, he's 5'11", 170 pound. One thing I liked about Edward Combs, to give you an idea, he's definitely a smaller guy at 5 foot, 170 pounds, but he's definitely quick, and he's got really good kickoff return capability. And he seems very comfortable finding the ball. If you go through and watch his highlights, which I'll try to have linked down in the description down below, to all these guys, so you guys can watch them if you'd like to. He seemed to be very comfortable with his head turned back to the quarterback, and seemed to be really great at finding the ball and getting his hands up to catch them as well. His route running looked really nice. He's definitely going to be more of a possession guy, and our wide receiver room is going to take a hit this year. In the coming future, you got a lot of our guys getting older, and we're definitely going to have to try to fill out some of those roster spots, scholarship spots coming up. So Edward Combs is definitely one of those guys you're going to see a little bit more shifty. I think we are easily right now he's only let out as top 10, but I think WVU could be a top 3 for this kind of guy. Definitely thinking more of like a quick lateral kind of guy. You're going to get him screens and stuff like that, and he'll be really beneficial in that area of our game, which is something we're going to need going forward. I think that we could be up in the top 3 with this guy, with Penn State and Coastal Carolina. Next, I'm going to talk about, and forgive me if I get names wrong in here, guys, I'm going to try to get them right in the future, Ijani Shakir. Ijani Shakir is a 6'1". Yeah, 6'1", 180 pound wide receiver out of Pennsauken, New Jersey. That's a fun one to say. He did come to our camp over the summer. He has not officially visited yet. He came to the June camp over summer and put in some great work. His benefits, he's got great hands and good speed. He's very similar to Edward Combs III, who we just talked about, and the fact that he's got some punt return experience, definitely some guys that we're going to see probably get some special team play early on if they were to commit. They're guys that are going to come in, probably develop some. Right now, we are in his top 8. Both of these guys are also recruited by Chad Scott. I'm going to try to get that in there as well as I work on these. Definitely somebody you're going to see in the screen game. They're those quick lateral guys. Something that we're really going to be missing out Western right left, even though we did get Jeremiah Aaron in from, I think, Navarro College down there in the south. So there's definitely somebody, a spot that Neil Brown would like to recruit in, try to get his own recruit in there, somebody he's developed himself. So those are 2 names that if they commit, you could definitely see try to fill out those positions. Another wide receiver in that same aspect there to finish off like the smaller guys, we've got Asad Wasim. Asad Wasim comes out of Oshie, Florida, or Oceee, pronounce that however, I'll figure out later. Standing at 5'11", 167 pounds. He is a bit of a smaller guy, but for in that small wide receiver, he has great open field ability. He's really agile. He has potential to be an elite playmaker wherever he goes. The downside to Asad Wasim, and a reason why I think that we won't actually pick him up, even though we've made his top 5 is his main recruiter, or one of his main recruiters was Jared Parker. Sorry, pardon me. And with him leaving, that might actually push Asad to go. He may lean to another direction. Right now, he is fan futured to Tennessee, and that's somewhere I could see him going. I would love to pull him, but I just don't think out of those 3, Asad, Ajani, and Edward, I definitely think that Asad is probably going to go elsewhere. Like I said, even though we're in his top 5, it's just I think losing Jared definitely hurts us right there, and I haven't seen him really post about us anymore. The next one, and now we're going to start getting into some of the big guys here. Something I definitely noticed before I get into this, Neil Brown is definitely going after some big fish in the class of 2023. There's some guys on here he's got several guys in here that have WVU in their top 10 at least, or top 12 at least, that are top 150 guys. I mean, they are elite playmakers, and Neil Brown is really looking to kind of fill out some of those needs that he has for big playmakers, where, he's had luck getting them on the defensive side. He's gotten Caden Prather, a couple years ago, so I'm really excited to see him try to nail some of these big 4-star wide receivers. And the first one we've got going on is Carmelo English. Carmelo English is probably one of WVU's top recruits in this whole recruiting class. The guy is a monster at 6 foot, 182 pounds. He's out of Phoenix City, Alabama. I'm guessing it's Phoenix City, Alabama. He'd be an absolute steal because he's right there in Alabama's backyard. They have offered him. It does seem to be that's where he'll be going. The future cast is 100% right now, but you never know. You could get in there and get frisky. Carmelo is a well-rounded wide receiver. He's got great hands, spectacular catching. The guy can go up and grab a ball. His hands are phenomenal, which is something I would love to see in some, something we've kind of missed the last couple of years at WVU, even though it was better this year. He would come in and be almost an immediate impact player with our current wide receiver situation. He might sit for a year, but you never know. So that's definitely one to keep an eye on, and would be an absolute steal, and another future name I think has got potential to be an NFL player, be playing on Sundays. So definitely one to keep an eye on, and if we steal him, that is going to be huge for WVU football. The next one I want to talk about here is William Fowles, or Fowles, Fowles. He's a 4-star wide receiver out of Miami Christian Academy down there in Miami-Dade, Florida. This guy's 6'2", 190 pounds, and we have been lucky enough to make his top 5. He's a top 300 wide receiver. He's a top 300 recruit. Neil Brown has his eye on. He's definitely that big-bodied wide receiver that we're looking for in this class. I mean, at 6'2", 190 pounds, it's a guy that can go up and grab anything. He's also got the speed to take the top off of a defense. So you're looking at someone kind of like a Kevin White esque body, really going to go get those balls up there. What's really going to be frustrating is his main recruiter, like I talked about, we're going to run into this a couple times, is his main recruiter was Travis Trickett, and losing him is huge. And he actually picked up an offer from USF, and Travis Trickett himself. So that's definitely going to be a battle we're going to have to do, and it's going to be something we're going to have to fight for. But we definitely got potential with him. He did come in to visit, I believe, back in December. No, he's not visited yet, so that's definitely something I know Neil Brown's going to be itching to do, is try to get him on campus. But like I said, losing Travis Trickett is going to be tough, and I think that's going to make our wide receiver coach hire even more important going forward, because we really need somebody that could probably recruit Florida and make something out of it. So that'd be really curious to see how that one kind of plays out. And we are his top 5, so I really hope that we can cement him in there, get somebody really showing that guy a lot of love. And that will actually do it for our wide receivers. For our wide receivers, most of them are kind of small, shifty guys. We seem to have our big-bodied guys built in there already. We'll have them for still a couple more years yet, but we're really trying to find that agile playmaker, it seems. And Neil Brown's trying to get the state of Florida really for these guys. Next, we're going to be talking about one of my favorite players on this list, and it is Jackson Carver. He's a 3-star tight end out of Culver Academies in Indiana. And when I say that this man is a hoss, he is 6'6", 220 pounds. And the guy is an absolute take your head off kind of guy. He also plays defensive end, so he's just got that aggressive mentality. He only has a 3-star rating, but he's only played 1 year of football so far. So there's a lot of potential up there, and his upside is just about as big as he is. We were his first D1 offer. That bodes well for us. So that means we've got potential to get in there. It's kind of like those people that believed in him first. I know that means something to some players. Another downside, his main recruiter was Travis Trickett. So Travis Trickett leaving really hurts. So we are in his, it says his top 2, but I didn't actually see him list his top 2, but I think that somebody said between us and Notre Dame. But we do seem to be up there as one of his favorites, and so maybe we can keep a good level with him and get an absolute stud of a tight end. It's definitely one to keep an eye on. The next one we'll be talking about, we'll get into the offensive linemen, and this will be it for the offensive side of the ball. So in the class of 2022, if you guys kept up with it, Neil Brown really focused on linemen. We ended up picking up 3 or 4 linemen in the class of 2022, and a lot of those guys are going to be redshirting for at least a year. Some of them might see a little bit of play time. So I think Neil Brown really took this year where he doesn't have to kind of like fill those depth spots that he's had to just do last year. Neil Brown really swung for the fences with his offensive line this year. So the first one I want to talk about is Antonio Tripp Jr. He's a big boy. He's got some really quick feet. From McDonough, Maryland. He's 6'4", 285 pounds. He did come and visit in January, and he did seem to have a really great time with his mom and dad. They looked like they were having a real fun time. We did make his top 9 right after that, so we are up there in the running. He hasn't really limited it down yet. I think the other schools he's visited is Penn State. I don't know if I saw any other schools other than that, so definitely gonna have some tough competition for that one. At 6'4", 285 pounds, he's got really good potential to be a guard in our future, and I think that he might sit for 1 year and would potentially be a 4-year starter after that. So I could see him redshirting for a year, sitting behind, and could really make a shot for those guard positions after James Goodmitter and Doug Nestor leave. Definitely going to be competing with some of the guys of the 2022 class, but definitely has that kind of potential if he was to commit. The next one is absolute monster and would be another top recruit in WVU's class. I know it's somebody that's going to be tough to get, but we've definitely got a chance, is with Chase Bisontis, Bisontis. Chase Mozantis is an absolute tower of a human being, standing at 6'5", 290 pounds, out of Don Bosco Prep in New Jersey. Up there playing some of that real tough lineman ball from the New England area. He's only got his top 15 right now, so he's not really looking to limit it down. I'm sure he'll play a lot of his season, try to get some official visits in, try to build those relationships a little bit more. Where we recruited the offensive line, this is one of those big fish that Neil Brown's really trying to land. It would actually be the biggest offensive line get in WVU history. He'd be the highest rated offensive lineman, just barely beating out a guy that could very well be on the other end of the line from him in WVU's own Milan. So that'd be very interesting if we picked up another massive offensive line commit and had probably 2 potentially of the best tackles WVU's ever seen in school history. So that would be massive. So that's definitely one to keep an eye on, see if he ever makes it into town. If he does, that's really looking good for us. That's it for the offensive side of the ball. As you can see, we're really focusing on that wide receiver position, which is going to be left bare after the next couple of years. So we definitely want to get in there quick. Neil Brown is definitely taking a little easier on his offensive linemen. I'm sure he'll probably fill that up if these guys don't, keep us in the mix. So, but those are definitely the ones to look out for right now on the offensive side of the ball. Switching over to the defensive side of the ball, we've got 2 defensive linemen / defensive ends. They can kind of be swings depending on how their body forms, because a lot of these guys in these positions, you never really know how they're going to grow into their body and where they might go from that. But the first one I want to talk about is Bemonique Rhymes. Sorry if I mispronounced that, man. He's a 4-star defensive end out of Sumter High School in South Carolina. He stands at a whopping 6'6", 240 pounds, and has WVU in his top 10. Absolute stud of a human being. I think that this is one of those players that Neil Brown is looking to get, or like the kind of player that Neil Brown is trying to get after we got exposed against Minnesota, when our defensive line held up against an absolute elite offensive line. But those were just much bigger men than what we have on our defensive side of the ball. So I think Neil Brown, you saw him bring in Daryl Middleton. That didn't really work out. You see him try to bring in some of these bigger bodies and try to play some of these bigger bodies to try to compete with some of these large NFL offensive linemen. And we've had luck. Our defensive linemen have been great athletes and have just made the best out of, being 100 pounds lighter than the men they're going up against. We've made his top 10, but I would say that I think he's going to end up staying home in one of the Carolinas. They seem to be recruiting him really incredibly hard. He'd be a massive get. He's a top 300 recruit and could easily fill in for Dante Stills after he is gone after next year. So that's definitely somebody you could see, if he commits, get playing time very early on and probably become a household name pretty quickly. The next one here is Dylan Gooden. Dylan Gooden is a weak defensive end from Good Counsel, Maryland. A guy right out of WVU's own backyard. You got he's 6'4", 200 pounds. He did come and visit WVU on my birthday back in December. We made his top 8 after that. And he's getting recruited pretty hard by a lot of our coaches and seem to have a good time. He's an ESPN top 300, and he looks to be an elite edge rusher. That's going to be the main position that he takes up, or the position that he plays, is defensive end. Even though at 6'4", you could probably squeeze in and play defensive line, but I definitely think he's going to be that length and long size that we see out of guys like Sean Martin and guys like that have that length and size that Neil Brown kind of wants. He did visit WVU, like I said, on my birthday. He has visited Penn State and USC since then, and the fan reaction has been massive. I mean, they've actually blown up his posts. So we have a good chance at landing him, because I think that a lot of these guys, the reason why we're able to compete for some of these big defensive ends and a lot of the defensive players that you're going to see later on down this list, is the fact that they want to play for Jordan Leslie, and he's put up really good defenses, and he's shown that he can put guys in the NFL with Dante going next year, and I'm sure some guys after that. So I think we've got a good chance of lining him. We might have to fight for this guy, so make sure you get out there, show him some love on social medias. It means a lot to the kids. So we're going to make a fight out of it. The next one I'm going to be talking about here is Denzel Moore, and he's an outside linebacker from Central Gwinnett, Georgia. Standing at 6'2", 230 pounds. We have made his top 4. And when I think about it, WVU hasn't really had much in the way of linebacker commits since the time he's been here. It feels like we've really been playing with some senior guys and some transfers, and Tony Fields and Josh Chandler-Smito has been here for Lord knows how long. So I think we're really wanting to add some depth at that position. So we have 2 outside linebackers, 2 inside linebackers listed here, and I think that that's definitely a position of concern for WVU, and it's somewhere that he's going to really try to address in the class of 2023 the same way he addressed the offensive line in the class of 2022. Denzel Moore is a fringe 4-star guy. He's 3 4-stars there, might get his 4-star guaranteed throughout the senior season. He plays some tough-nosed football down in Georgia. That's the kind of brand of football that they play. He plays up at the line and will look to fill in that bandit position, I think. I think he's got the length and athleticism, and he's got the veracity to stand up there and battle on the line. So I think with that size, and if he can get developed, if Denzel Moore can develop, then he could definitely be a great option at the bandit going forward, where we haven't really had a sound guy to fill in that position yet. So Denzel Moore might be one of those guys that could really make benefits from the bandit position. The next guy we got here is Josiah Trotter, and he's a 4-star inside linebacker from St. Joseph, Pennsylvania, standing at 6'2", 225 pounds. He's your ideal middle linebacker build. I mean, the dude is big-shouldered, got some very head-down tendencies. He's able to run with wide receivers, too, and covers really well. I think he might struggle with that some more once he actually plays Division I football. Those guys are a lot older, faster, stronger. But I think that once he gets into a D1 program, he is definitely going to be a leading tackler, make your mark on a game kind of middle linebacker for a program. And so I think that WVU is going to be working really hard to get that guy in there to kind of fill in the spot of middle linebacker. And another guy I can see getting early playing time if he was to commit. So I think that's another reason why a lot of these guys are interested in West Virginia University. A lot of guys want to play. They want to play soon. And WVU needs guys that can play. And, I mean, we've got positions that can be won. A lot of these defensive guys are really excited to play for Jordan Leslie. So, Josiah Trotter, definitely a guy that can step in and at least affect the run defense early on before he can step out there and guard. But he's got the potential to cover and stop the run. So, absolute dual threat middle linebacker. The next one we got here is Troy Ford Jr., and he's a 3-star inside linebacker from Calvary Day, Georgia, another Georgia kid. Another one recruiting really hard. At 6'2", 215 pounds, we made his top 8. And all three of these last guys have been recruited by Coach Kuntz. So Coach Kuntz is doing a really good job getting these guys interested. And I want to give him credit for that because that's something we need to keep up with more is how good these guys are recruiting. He's going to be another guy to try to fill those holes in the depth. He's long and athletic. He has the kind of ability to morph into whatever we need him to be. I think I see him playing more of an outside linebacker, bandit position. He kind of played down on the line at his high school. He definitely brings that hard-nosed sense of D that you get from Georgia. This is the kind of guy that Jordan Leslie has been building his defense up to be. So if he can get some of these big guys that are really strong, I mean, standing at 6'2", 215 pounds, this guy is a big linebacker. And it kind of just seems like if Jordan Leslie was able to fill up his defense with these kind of big-bodied, very athletic individuals, then it might bring some of the best defense that we've seen to West Virginia yet. And so if he can get even just a couple of these guys to commit, our defense is going to be phenomenal for years to come. The next guy I'm going to be talking about is definitely another absolute star in this class is Tamir Robinson. And Tamir Robinson, I think, has got the chance to be a household name like Carl Joseph was back in the day for WVU. Tamir Robinson is another example of those big fish that Neil Brown's going for. You're going to hear me say a lot. Neil Brown's going fishing, and he wants big ones. He's a top 150 recruit. Is big-time safety. He's listed as an outside linebacker, but in high school he played safety, and he's also being recruited by Coach Wright. So I definitely think that we plan on playing Tamir even at 6'2", 200. He's actually 6'3", 220 pounds. I mean, he's a big guy. That'd be a huge safety, but he's just got the speed to play back there. And I think that WVU fully intends on playing him at safety because he's got explosiveness and he's got great vision. And I think he's got the athleticism to make use of that. And so you're going to see a lot of picks for this guy wherever he ends up going. He did visit WVU back in September of last year. He has gone to visit Penn State since then. And if you guys hear me bring that up a lot, the places kids have visited since us, Neil Brown has made it clear when he, I think it was last year in his recruiting conferences, talking about how he would like to have the closest visit to signing day, and he would like to be one of the first offers, you know. And getting those guys in there last and just getting on them on campus at least 3 times, that's big. So if you see guys visit campus multiple times, it's pretty likely we're going to get a commit, or we got a good chance at getting commit. And, you know, the later, the better it kind of seems is what he wants. So he did go visit Penn State after us, but I'm sure that Coach Wright is dying to get him back on campus. You'll see him probably do some official visits over the year. We want to try to get them those big games that will really help sway him from Penn State. And right there in West Virginia's backyard in Pittsburgh, it's between us, Pitt, Penn State, and a couple other big schools. He's got a lot of offers. I mean, he's got offers from all over the country, but I think he's wanting to stay close to home considering he's given us, Penn State, and Pitt a good look. So definitely someone we want to steal away from Schittsburg back there. He has a bit smaller frame. Antonio Robinson has a bit smaller frame, but he has elite coverage. He's also returned some kickoffs, played a little bit of offense, so he definitely knows the wide receiver position a little bit. If Jordan Leslie can either land Antonio or Tamir Robinson, I think that you're looking at one of the best defensive backfields that WVU's ever had with the addition of last year's recruits in Jacoby Spells and Mumu Bin Wahid. I'm looking at having probably one of the best defenses West Virginia's ever seen. In like 3 years' time. You give like 3 years' time if we land any of these guys. 3 years' time, WVU's defense is going to be nothing to joke with. Antonio, though, has kept his recruiting really close to the vest. He's been really focusing on himself. He's been posting nothing but workout videos and really focusing on making himself better. So right now he's just got his top 12 out. I don't expect him to really limit that down until closer to season and then make his official visits. So we'll know more about Antonio Robinson around then. The next one I want to talk about is another Florida boy from Rickards High School. And that's Tristan Scion, and he's a 3-star. He's listed as an athlete. I expect this is going to be another guy that Neil Brown needs to help fill out some of that depth that we struggled with last year at the defensive back spot. You know, we had some injuries. We didn't really have a lot of guys to fill in back there, so he's definitely trying to find some guys to help plug those holes, and I'm sure he'd want to develop them himself. At 170 pounds, he's a bit small for the D1 level. I know I just said Antonio Robinson at 165, 5'10", but I feel like Tristan Scion's build could probably handle a little bit more weight at 6'1", and could, really do well back there. He also has some ties with the people that I mentioned before. He's buddies with Mumu Bin Wahid and Lee and Jacoby Spells on Twitter, and he's been talking to them. So that looks good for us, and if they can get him on campus, I think we've got a good shot at landing Tristan. The last guy I want to talk about with his top 10s out is a recent name added to the board is Tawfiq Bayard. It actually doesn't have any ratings on 24/7 or Rivals. Also, all my ratings came from Rivals, just so we're all on the same page here. He's a late bloomer from DeMatha High School in Maryland. He's 5'11", 170 pounds. He has great closing speed, good vision, and high ball IQ. He seems to be getting a lot more attention here going into his senior season, so he's definitely a guy I could see getting those 3 or 4 stars, probably a 3-star. And he's really excited about WVU. Seems to be really interested in the program. And I think once he gets into a D1 program that can get his muscle up and really build him into his body, he could definitely be a tormentor for those quarterbacks out there at the Division I level. So those right now are the 17 guys that we've got top 10s on, all really quality recruits. Definitely wants to keep their names on your mind. Keep an eye out for them. If WVU can land a chunk of these guys, then I think you're looking at another great recruiting class for Neil Brown. You can definitely see him trying to fill in the holes that we have at wide receiver, outside wide receiver, linebacker, specifically. Those are the 2 weak spots that we're going to have to face going forward. Super exciting to be a Mountaineer fan. I hope you guys enjoy this. Like I said, if you guys like it, give me a like and subscribe down there. If you want more of this recruiting action covered, let me know. Reach out and tell me, hey, I liked it, hey, I didn't like it. I want to know more about this guy or that guy. You might notice in the class, this was all the class of 2023. I don't have our 3 commits. Raheem Jeter, Cameron Jackson, and Jaheim White. It's quarterback, defensive lineman, and running back. Not really. Quarterback, always, Neil Brown wants to get 1 in every class. Defensive line, we're going to need guys. He's 6'4", 300 pounds. I'll talk more about those in another video. I also want to start covering some of the class of 2024, some of the people we're trying to get on campus that aren't these guys and stuff like that. So as those come out, I'm going to try to get one out, like I said, every week or, at least once every 2 weeks or something like that, just to give you guys an update on how our recruiting is looking. Like I said, if you guys got any questions, you let me know. And I appreciate you guys tuning in for this, and I hope you've enjoyed it. As always, let's go Mountaineers.
I don't wanna see your face up close.